Hello everyone. This is an odd one. It's been over a year-ish since I started the uh, Minecraft, medieval Minecraft series. But I thought today we could get into a mod pack that I've been working my butt off on for the last 6 months or so. And this is Harmonious Magineering 3. So this is a mod pack that revolves around magic and the merger of magic and tech. Surprisingly, not using Botania. If that was your first immediate thought, that was definitely mine as well. And we're going to get right on into it, into a brand new world. We've got a couple of very fun and interesting changes to the base game, which are pretty usual. You guys know that I tend to really appreciate little changes here and there. And overall, let's just see what we've got for a spawn point. It's not bad. Stony Shore, we've got some really fun terrain generation. We've got these cliffs, sheer cliff faces. You can see some over there as well. Very cool, very cool. Oh, we've got some pretty standard tree assortments as well as, some iron already and a maple log. Not bad. That's actually a pretty solid start, to be honest. So taking a look at the quests, it looks like there's not that many right now. I promise if we go into edit mode, there are a lot more, and these are all pretty busy chapters. So don't worry about it. However, it's limited to only show you what you are easily able to do right away. So this is just an intro. One thing you may notice in this pack that it tries to mask a lot of various internal components. You'll find that Jade is not going to tell you what mod a block is from. The F3 screen is going to have very minimal data on it. So you can see grass block, dirt. We don't know, we know this is from Minecraft, but for example, if we come over here, take a look at these maple leaves or a maple log, it won't say that. If you're dying to know what something is from and you can pick it up, you can hold shift while hovering over the item, and it'll tell you what mod adds the item. In this case, I don't want any maple log, so we're just going to come over here and punch probably a slightly smaller tree. I don't want to spend all day chopping a tree down. This should work. And so, in standard fashion, I do really enjoy HT Street Chop, so we are in fact using that as per the norm, at least for me. So that's going to give us the ability to cut down this whole tree without ever having to climb up or make sure we didn't miss anything, which is incredibly convenient. And there we are. The snow falls down. I will go ahead and redeem my singular nugget of experience, which is the most common quest reward in this pack, because after all, the quests are here to help, but they're also mainly and most importantly there to just inspire you to figure out what to do next. Let's go ahead and make some gear real quick. I suppose I probably didn't need those sticks after all, but I would like some more wood before we go on, and then I'll grab some... Well, I guess I could grab the stone first. I didn't really need that axe. Whatever, it's fine. It is all good. Go ahead and do the usual, use my pickaxe exactly 3 times and then ditch it, because that's how it is. Grab that iron as well. If you go and grab this mod pack right this moment, by the way, you may notice a couple of disparities, a couple of changes and differences. I have added Loot Journal in my version because there was that was a mod that I was waiting on to come out, and I didn't notice that it came out. And updated to 120. And so I noticed that it did the other day, and I just tossed it into the release version of the pack, even though that is not actually the version that is available to everyone else. So if you like it and think it's a good addition, then I'm definitely going to add it to the main release. It's one of those things that I think is pretty helpful overall to kind of get an idea of what's been picked up, but it does just depend. Now, taking a look at the quest line from here, there's not really a lot else we can do immediately. There's a couple of tips and tricks and such. So this is explaining the chunk loading mechanics. So we are using the chunk loader mod, which is pretty straightforward to make. You're going to need a respawn anchor. And again, most of the recipes in this pack have been touched or changed. So you'll see that like the advanced chunk loader is going to require us to get into the create mod. We don't really know how to make this yet as far as ownership goes, and I'll talk about that as well. And then if we go from this to the next tier, we have no idea how to make enriched diamond yet. We can look at recipes, but we don't know exactly how to make a lot of these machines as of yet. So we're going to have to play around with that and get familiarized with that a good bit. And now that my JEI has been fixed up a little bit, that's much better, we can go ahead and take a look at these other quests. So this is basically saying, hey, as you explore deeper depths, you're going to find that some of these mobs are going to be a lot harder to fight. So you probably should be pretty decently equipped. But as you get into these deeper depths, the deep slate ore variants are going to drop double the raw ore than they usually do, which is nice. That's kind of an improvement to having to mine something that takes twice as long to mine. And then a fork of Akashic Tomes, the eccentric tome, same exact recipe, is a very useful item for keeping up with all the books you're going to get throughout this pack. There's also a very small, and it gets bigger of course, but a very small adventure chapter here, and then a start into all things kind of eccentric and odd. Eclectic, I guess, too, you could say. But we do need to still play the base pack. We still need to play vanilla Minecraft after all. Let's go ahead and grab some logs. Let's do some exploration. I think this is probably just going to be one pretty long exploration episode where we kind of go take a look at what there is to see. Maybe get settled down in some small place here or there. I am not really sure yet, and we'll go from there. As I run around picking up all this tree debris, I wanted to bring up that this series, and basically all of my content going forward, if you haven't been relatively aware from the Discord or just Twitch in general, this series is just going to be kind of for fun. I'm going to do this and release these on absolutely no schedule. I have no plans to get anything done in any particular time range. I may take a month-long break. I'll try to use the community tab in YouTube to let you guys know that I'm taking a break. But all in all, I'm kind of treating this as an absolutely no obligation pack because, frankly, my life is chaotically busy, but I also miss content creation and I miss video editing, and I've been doing it some for DMS3 on his Footplane, but there's other places where I want to be able to do it and integrate that as well. So it's just kind of one of those things that I wanted to bring up as a point that, you know, we'll do it when we can and when we want to, but if things ever get too hectic, then we'll take a break as long as we need to. I've been picking up these seashells because they can be turned into bone meal, which will be handy for food early game. And all this iron is particularly handy because we're going to want to get ourselves a smithing table here pretty soon, and you'll see why. If you watched my Harmonious Engineering 3 pack, you probably already know why. It is a mechanic that I've always been pretty fond of. Looks like we have some Pneumaticraft oil as well. That's pretty nice. But one of the things that we should see, maybe I failed to mention it in the right order in the quests. I don't know, hard to say. Making quests is not quite as easy as it ever seems. At least not for me. It always seems like something that I can just hop into and then I get into it and I remember how much I hate making quests. But they're very important for packs like these where you really need to explain everything you've done, all the changes you've made. Let's get set up with a furnace. I haven't really done any exploration yet, but we need to get that furnace going so that we can cook up some resources. And you know what? Let's go for some of these oak saplings. Now, one thing I forgot to bring up, and one thing that is pretty standard of me, especially in packs where I duplicate ore outputs, is each one of these raw iron is going to result in 3 iron nuggets. So as we smelt these, you're going to see 1 raw iron to 3 iron nuggets. If you do ore, though, if we take a look at iron ore, these are going to be 1 to 1. And so as a result here, we've got to actually smelt down quite a few in order to get ourselves that smithing table, and then we're going to need even more beyond that. So it does take some work to get where you're trying to go at first. I do recommend making a blast furnace as soon as you can. I'm probably going to hold off because those are a pain to make, and I'd rather find one because I really enjoy exploration in this pack. So we'll see. All right, so let's get this smithing table put together and assembled. And now that we have this, mind you, we can't do too much with it, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these old tools. We don't need those, but we are able to upgrade our tools throughout the various tiers of materials anywhere we go. So at this point, we can make chainmail armor. We can upgrade our chainmail straight to iron if we really wanted the bump. In that kind of situation, there are a handful of materials you can upgrade to and from. I, for one, am looking at recipes like upgrading this guy up to an iron pickaxe, relatively free of charge. Relatively. It makes it 1 entire ingot cheaper to do it this way. Minor inconvenience to make this guy, but once you've got it, tends to be pretty useful. And it looks like we're going to have exactly enough materials to do exactly that. So I think we're going to go ahead and get that upgraded, and then we will see what it will take from there. And there we go. At a greatly discounted rate, we should be able to now make ourselves an iron pickaxe, just like so. Not particularly important, except for the fact that the durability on all vanilla tools, except for stone, wood, and a couple of exceptions, has been doubled. So rather than having 250 durability, we actually have 500, which is going to be particularly helpful going forward. There's a lot of use cases for that, and in this pack, one thing that's kind of important to note or observe is that there is no mending. Mending has been entirely disabled. You will not be able to find it. You will not be able to craft it. If you somehow find an item with it on there, it will be removed. And if you manage to surpass any of those checks as well, which, believe me, I've tried my best to make sure all of those checks are up to date. For example, you shouldn't find it on any loot, although I have been thwarted by that once or twice. But in theory, you shouldn't be able to find it on any loot like golden tools in a decayed nether portal in the overworld, because that's where I tend to find most of my mending. In all of those cases, Quark's ability to completely nuke mending is also enabled, so you theoretically, even if you do manage to keep the enchantment and try to use it, it won't actually do anything. Picking up experience will not repair your tool whatsoever. Now, the intended mechanic, which we're going to talk about as we go exploring, is that you use an anvil to repair your tools, because the anvil scaling cost mechanism that vanilla Minecraft has, where each repair costs more and more and more, is entirely berserk and kind of weird. So we have, this pack completely removes that mechanic. It basically just costs about 3 levels to fully repair a tool from just about broken. So that is a particularly helpful mechanism in this pack for keeping your stuff in good shape. And then as you proceed along, you'll come to a point where you're going to have digitized or pneumatic tools that won't require repair anyway. So it's all pretty much good and well. Between the double durability of things, unbreaking, and the ability to repair just about everything in an anvil, including things that you normally can't repair in an anvil. So shears, for example, and I'm not sure if this recipe is going to show up. It doesn't. That's fair and valid. You can see mending doesn't even show up here. That's how foregone mending is as a book. It's pretty funny, actually. But shears can even be repaired in an anvil. So everything that does and doesn't usually have a recipe for restoration in an anvil has been given a recipe just for the sake of it. So as we go further exploring along, we're going to run into food issues soon, I have a hunch. But looks like we maybe have a village this way. That's kind of what I was hoping to find. As we go along, we're going to see a huge variety of various different biomes, which is pretty fun. And then we have, the little in-game overlay like that one that tells you what biome you've entered whenever you enter a new one that you haven't entered in the last, I think, 10 biomes. So switching between the two won't spam you with that, but it is a very helpful mechanic for seeing what you just found, because there are some really cool biomes, and I don't want you to be completely out of the know, even though the F3 screen does tend to give you that information. And so yeah, a lot of things are kind of meant to be obscured from the player just because they're internal mechanisms that I don't feel like should have ever been exposed. So that's why the F3 screen's pretty minimal, and if you need your coordinates, there are in-game mechanics to get that kind of stuff. Looks like I need to go up over here. So yeah, and the Zero's minimap, you can enable the coordinates, but the pack will disable them by default each startup, so please don't, is sort of my rule of thumb. Anyways, let's see, we've got some decent loot. I would argue the sign probably isn't the best loot in the world, or that fern. That's going to be my respawn point for now. Certainly is a highly wooded village, I will say that. I won't say no to some berry bushes, though. Ooh, an armorer. This will be good. Yeah, 5 whole ingots straight up. That is excellent. And not really much else in way of useful gear, although I probably will take this because I do like horses. And see, this is what I meant about not wanting to craft that blast furnace yet, is I really didn't want to deal with making smooth stone. I really hate making smooth stone. It's just not fun, but we can just combine these to get that smooth stone at the cost of, tearing down the floor in one little place, which isn't a big deal. And we don't really need to worry about sleeping at the moment. Oh, I was hoping I could save that little guy. We don't really need to worry about sleeping at this very moment because we do have peaceful surface except for 3 nights. The 3 nights before, after, and during a new moon, in other words, the moon that is completely pitch black in the middle, are the only nights that will spawn mobs on the surface. But the first night in Minecraft is a full moon, so we don't really have to worry about that at all. Is that all this village had to offer? Is there something more back that way? Seems like that's definitely a potential here. I am really quickly, before I forget, going to make that blast furnace because we have everything we need to make 2. Well, we have everything we needed to make 1, but we have enough smooth stone to make 2, which is kind of nice. And as far as bread goes, is there anything that I really want to do with it right away? There are a lot of different recipes for sure, but nothing that I have particularly large amounts of access to at this very moment. I'll go ahead and warm up those acorns as well as we peruse through the quest book. So there's a couple of different structures we can find. Of course, the end city is going to require us to go to the end. Ocean monuments are pretty standard, and each one of these are going to get us a waystone, which usually get chatted about a little bit deeper through. Again, we are so high up right now in altitude that we're not going to get to deep slate anytime particularly soon, and I'm not sure how I'm going to fix that. I may just not. Hard to say. For now, I'm going to eat these green tea leaves because I don't need them. Just trying to whittle through my relatively large food collection now because I've got a couple of different inventory items full of them. And I guess let's see if there's anything else to this village. It kind of looked like there's something up here, but I don't think that's the case. Maybe over here, though? No, we already saw that. Okay. I guess that's... oh no, there is a building up there. It certainly is quite the partitioned village, that's for sure. I will take as many little seed items as I can get, though. And you know what? Sure, we may as well go take a nap somewhere. Let me find a bed that isn't occupied, hopefully. I'm going to go back to our original spawn bed that we set. Probably occupied by someone. Oh my. By a few people. And you're going to see at the top center of the screen, there's a little clock that goes off. And that's because sleeping actually is a tick acceleration mechanic. That's something that is kind of underappreciated and overutilized in a lot of mod packs is the ability to tick accelerate. And while I do really enjoy it, the way that it's done has been kind of overdone, at least for me personally. So I was very excited to see that this mod called Hourglass existed, which means that if you take a sleeping bag and sleep during the day, or sorry, a hammock and sleep during the day, or a sleeping bag and sleep overnight, or just a bed in general, you will be able to accelerate not only your crops growth and tree growth, etc., but also machinery or any furnaces, cooking, anything like that around the area. So pretty nice little mechanic. I find it very, very useful. I personally am going to try to avoid the snow. I don't really care for the snow, largely because of the fact that packed snow exists and is powdered snow is a problem. So let's see. I think it looked like there was maybe a ruined nether portal up here to the northeast. There's a lizard. Looks like a salamander. Is actually a lizard. Got some bears that I'm going to leave alone. Yep, here we go. What's that bee doing over here? You're going to get yourself in some trouble. You should be careful. Okay, nothing really of interest. I'll take the flint and steel. And I guess the infinite lava or fire source could be useful for Eidolon. We'll get into that later. In the meantime, I'm going to try to kind of target my way over there. I'm not really happy with any of this terrain gen at the moment. It's not bad. It's really pretty, but it's just not somewhere that I feel happy with settling in quite yet. I'm not really sure what I want, but not really feeling this. So let's see what we can find. So I've run across a singular walnut log. I'm going to grab this because the walnuts that they drop are incredibly useful for later game, as well as sweet berries, by the way. So these sweet berries can be cooked down into jam. The acorns and walnuts can be cooked down into nut butter, and then nut butter plus jam in a sandwich, or I guess honey, it looks like. Glow jam, that makes sense. Okay, cool. We'll get you a nut butter and jam sandwich, and those are, well, that's new. I actually didn't know that existed. That's kind of cool. This is one of the best food items that myself and Nope50 on Twitch/Discord have found. It is definitely a great, great little thing. Looks like we found some wild sprouting crops. Let's grab these, because why not? I was wondering what that was. Anybody here? Doesn't seem like it. Well, that gives me a chance to talk about sleeping bags and the changes in some of the recipes. So most bed-related things, sleeping-related things, are going to use the sheets from the handcrafted mod. And so you can see you can make a fancy bed, you can make a normal bed, you can make, where is it? I guess we'll look at this recipe. You can make yourself a sleeping bag. You can also use there's a submerging mechanism, so you can go through and undye anything that you've dyed. You can also unbind any bound weak blood orbs, which is kind of cool if you want to pass those off to a friend. So you can go through and check these different things out and solidify concrete. There's a lot of different things that you can do with throwing things in water, and just as much as there is that recipe for throwing things into water, there's a similar recipe for just washing them using Create, which again is several steps out from us. So one thing that I do want to show off real quick is that mechanism where you see that it says you're not sure what this is. So that's a thing. That's a thing. So let's say I were to go through and somehow create andesite alloy, which, to be fair, andesite alloy is not something that I can create. I need to mix it, which requires andesite alloy. So then the only other way to make it is stamping. So now I need a stamper. The stamper is going to require Camonite brick, but it's also going to require a stamper base. It's also going to require that I go through and get a handful of other materials, and we're going to need ember. And so you can kind of see where this is going, right? That everything kind of has a chain dependency. But let's say that I were to get andesite alloy. Anyways, let's see that I found it or something. As soon as I pick it up, actually, I guess andesite alloy probably isn't the best example because it is in fact an ingot. But this, though, the stamper, let's say I were to get a stamper. If I pick this up, the very second that I pick it up, it gets turned into something that I cannot use. This is useless. I'm unable to utilize this. Now, it does save information to it, so it's not like that item is lost, but I don't have a way of using it. Now, if I use the built-in tag mechanism, I can get it back. So you see, it remembers what it was, as long as I have the given tag on my player. So each quest chapter is going to unlock the tags required for the next, and assuming that I don't cheat like I just did to demonstrate that mechanism, which is kind of important because it's a difficult mechanism to wrap your head around until you see it, and then once you see it, it's pretty straightforward. Got a lot of wildlife over here. Dang. Once you see it, it kind of makes a lot more sense. So that's one of those things that I kind of like to explain just to make sure that it is pretty dang clear. I'm realizing a backpack would be particularly helpful, but I don't have any string. Do I have a good way of making string? Not really. Okay. And so not everything from an entire mod has been blacklisted, but some things, some mods are entirely blacklisted until you unlock the required tags. Some mods are not. It certainly varies from situation to situation. So definitely keep your eye out for things that you cannot access yet, especially from loot. Because there are things that you will be able to access that you can't use yet, but you will someday. So you may as well keep them now while you have them. Meanwhile, I'm really hoping I find a backpack at some point. Oh, there's a village over here, though. What is that? Oh, that's like a little windmill. Cute. We got, I think, robins? Sparrows. We don't have sparrows here where I live. Don't eat any of those sparrows, I swear. These guys will eat chickens, so I'm a little concerned. Okay, we've got more crops. Don't mind these double tall crops, by the way. They are just variations of the existing crop. So there's nothing special about them. They just look different for the sake of looking different. We have a woodcutter, which is actually really useful. What are you selling? You know what? I'll take you up on that. I'm also going to take your job. And now, with a completely stuffed inventory, I've got to figure out what to do. I may use up this bone meal over here. I think that's probably the move. And then make bread out of the bone meal, or out of the bone mealed wheat. And now that saves some inventory space. Because I would really like to get that backpack sooner than later. So we're going to start... Oh, actually, it only took the one cow to get enough leather. There have been some tweaks to the loot tables, so that's why that was so effective. It doesn't make sense to me that a whole cow only drops, like, the very bare minimum. Goodness, I have so many things that I really do want to keep. That's a concern. I am keeping fire tick turned on, because I need ash to make steel later in the game. So by default, fire tick is on. However, by default, warden spawning is off. So there's kind of a little bit of a balance to everything. Okay, let's see. I kind of want to get the Akashic Tome quest out of the way. And you can see that unlocked a whole bunch of other things, including backpacks, which we have already talked about, so that shouldn't be much of a surprise. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I should try to get rid of. I need string. I really need string. Hello, hamster. Alright, well that clears up a slot for sure. I'm noticing these villages have been particularly small. They aren't usually quite so small. We have a mason, which means there's probably a smithing table, or a stonecutter over here. Yep. And then we've got leather workers, which won't have any string, but they have bread. And another smooth stone block. Sure. The less I have to make, the better, because we are going to end up needing quite a few of the blast furnaces, because we don't actually get to a point where we can avoid that material loss for a good little while. In fact, I don't think the first iron ingot that I can make from processing is until arc furnace, maybe? I don't remember, actually. I have to... Yeah, I think arc furnace in blood magic will be the first way to do it, and blood magic is not for another few chapters, so we'll have to take our time and get there eventually, but that's why I like this pack and the way that it's laid out. This is one of those, take your time and do whatever, enjoy the moment as it is kind of packs. As such, I probably will play this pack without you guys a couple of times, where I just go through and do some stuff off camera, off stream, off whatever, and just spend some time in the pack trying to develop some resources or just kind of get things cleaned up, or any various number of tasks, realistically speaking. Now the silo here sometimes contains a chest and a hay bale. Seems like this is in fact one of those times. Yeah, this is cute. Is there anything? Nope, doesn't look like there's anything. Just a cute little place. I like it. Oh, hey, a slug. Anyways, I'm running here along the beach line. I'm really hoping that I can find like a small flax spud. Oh, look at all these slugs. I've been also picking up various seashells. Oh, there's a wandering trader here. That's right. There you are. No, nothing I really need. But I'm hoping that I can find one of the little flax buds, and I've been picking up bone meal so that we can hopefully, maybe, possibly, get ourselves some string for that backpack. Mind you, when we make the backpack, you'll see that it's not all that it's made out to be. The backpacks are not nearly as vacuous as a lot of the standard configurations are. By no means am I trying to make the crafting experience a miserable experience, or the exploration experience miserable, but I certainly do want motivation to upgrade backpacks. But you can also have many, many, many backpacks, so kind of doesn't matter that much. There's also bundles, and that requires rabbit hide specifically, and there are the sacks from... Well, that requires canvas, that's right. Yeah, these guys aren't the worst. We could make a couple of these, but we still would need string, so it's kind of a moot point. Okay, so this wasn't really what I was looking for. I'm also keeping an eye on you guys over there. I see you. But it looks like we found an abandoned, old-fashioned village house, and this seems to have a lot of string here. Ooh. All right, we're going to come back to you in a second. I need that backpack first. At this rate, I kind of wish I'd gotten more leather, because we can definitely make multiple backpacks now. But that is all right. We'll make do. Now, there isn't really anything inside here. Can't say that that surprises me all that much. I'm going to plop down my sleeping bag without really sleeping yet and get ourselves a chest and then get that backpack made. So, backpacks only have one single slot. You can upgrade your backpack in the smithing table. So if we can get ourselves a block of copper we can go up to the next tier, which will unsurprisingly give you one more row. So each one of these tiers gives you an additional row. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then the last tier is 6, so a double chest. But they can also store bundles inside, and you can have multiple backpacks. So as much as that seems like a downer, it actually really isn't quite as bad as it may sound. So I'm going to put our unstackable items that are just kind of taking up space needlessly in here. And then I'll go ahead and sleep. Put that in there as well. And I guess we're going to see what else we can find in the area. That looks kind of suspicious. But I wanted to come back to these two things because a Silk Touch pickaxe is nice. And remember, we can upgrade this and keep it with us as we go. I don't know that I need skeleton skulls for anything, but I want to confirm that. Oh, I didn't know about that, actually. I may actually take advantage of that mechanism. I had no idea that this was a thing. But yeah, you can see it definitely is. It has a special particle. That's cool. I had no idea. Now, I wanted you to go into the back slot. Thank you. And there is some trouble here, so I'm going to try to avoid them, especially that guy, and see if we can get ourselves... Is that a tavern? I don't know what that is. Let's head in that direction and see what it is, I suppose, right? Ah, that's definitely a tavern, which is, in fact, one of our quests. We also have some mini melons. I'm going to save these for now. Mini melons are particularly fun, but they don't do much. They're just smaller melons. Another abandoned structure. And then we're going to see what is currently available at the tavern. So taverns are cute. They have a couple of variants, one for most biome, major vanilla biome variants at least. And sometimes they can be taken over by pillagers. This one clearly has not. You can usually just tell by either A, you'll see pillager banners, or it'll be in rough shape, or B, and most importantly, you will definitely not see any villagers here. Now, the nitwits here have some funny trade deals. They're really bad. These are really bad trades, except for maybe this one. But I want my bone meal, so no, you can't have it. However, when you get inside, you'll find that it is super cozy in here. Super cute little place. Lots of good little things to find. There's a little room here with some hay bales and a couple other odds and ends, but you're also going to find that there's a handful of rooms that you can take some naps in. I was stuck between sleep and nap. Does not need to be there. And then there's also an upstairs. And I find the upstairs to be the most important because there are custom maps in here that point you to custom structures added by this mod. And they are some really fun structures. This chest right here will usually house those maps. We'll take a look in a second. We have one map, which is a stray fortress, and then we have a bunch of food. Unfortunately, pumpkin pies cannot be eaten in the vanilla way, so I cannot just right-click to eat. You see it's going to go for my offhand. Instead, what I'll have to do is make a knife, and I'm not sure that I want to do that quite yet. So yeah, these are just really cute little places, really comfy, really cozy, plenty of hay, and just plenty of stuff in general. We'll come back soon for more goods and just fun stuff in general, because this is definitely a pretty long-winded pack, but it's very, very fun to get through, I find.